It's September 12th, 2021. This is a clip from CBS 60 Minutes. This is the news source OAN. It's claiming that in 1976, there was something called a swine flu vaccine, which they're running parallels to current COVID. Now, I wasn't alive in 1976, so because the number 6 comes before the number 8 in a timeline only. So I'm century 19, decade 7 plus 8 years. This happened in century 19, decade 7 plus 6 years. So this was before my born identity to Linda and Lou, the double L. However, it does draw parallels in the sense of these are the spokesperson faces for the larger epidemic. At the time, it was a reporter that actually had a very long career that I've seen before. I don't know his name because, again, I don't watch repetitively the nightly news or the current events in New York. I tried to stay away from television as much as possible with intermittent spurts of something that might be important. And even that I channel surf, so I get a broad range of what might be pertinent. But they're saying, even in 1976, they're just telling one story. So it is, in essence, the one face, one story, which happens to look like this. But this is speaking on behalf of a whole lot of variables in the background. I can't verify that any of the other variables in the background got sick. However, in order to make the vaccine campaign noticeable, it only took one person to voice it. They did not need a trail of every option to follow. Just didn't. This is like serious, dangerous stuff. You're taking stuff in a needle and you're letting strangers stick other strangers with it, and they're carrying a message and an unbeknownst substance in a needle. I mean, those hypodermic needles are, for all intended purposes, in the public use. I mean, they're weaponry, especially depending on what's in the syringe. I mean, on all the spy movies that you do with like the real high-packed action, which I can't watch other than a small clip because it's like too much coming at me. I mean, I actually, in my lifetime, have walked on the sidewalk and been hit with a needle in New York. I was a young kid. I was younger than my son, who's sitting over there right now at age 9. And it went reported. I have no idea what was in the needle. How do you track something and the spiral of health effects when you get hit in the public street because somebody gave needles out and you have no idea? It's a really scary day and age when you weaponize humans. They're a disgusting, unpredictable breed, and they seem to do anything for money. It's really gross.
Had indeed known about it, what would be your feeling?
They should have told us.
Did anyone ever come to you and say, you know something, fellas? There's the possibility of neurological damage if you get into a...
This is the way I grew up with humans speaking to one another that I appreciate. This no longer works except on certain programs. For the most part, their language has taken such a colloquial downturn into the most nondescript, dysfunctional speech patterns. It is pathetic for all intended purposes. For a species that says it's evolved. Yeah, to what? To where?
To a mass immunization program. No. No one ever did. No.
You've evolved to a neurological
You know Michael
disorder.
Hapwick? Yes. Mm-hmm. Dr. Michael Hatwick directed the surveillance team for the swine flu program at the CDC. His job was to find out what possible complications could arise from taking the shot and to report his findings to those in charge.
And then there's something about a settlement. I have no idea how you would even obtain money from a settlement, considering I'm having trouble with my legs at the moment, as was my grandmother. These things are not, like, even though this aired once, I have no idea if any of my relatives ever saw it. I've never seen it before today on OAN. It's not like you air it once on television and there's a whole community of people that let one another know. I mean, it doesn't function that way in my section of Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.
In charge. Did you know ahead of time, Dr. Hatwick, that there had been case reports of neurological disorders, neurological illness, apparently associated?
So I just don't want him to become the villain in all of this, because it's a much deeper issue, and he's just the TV spokesperson for this one particular instance. Although he might be guilty of other stuff on the back end, I have no idea. However, rather than having seen the same message like 50 different ways, waste of time.
Associated with the injection of influenza vaccine?
Absolutely.
You did?
Yes.
How'd you know that?
By review of the literature.
So you told your superiors, the men in charge of the swine flu immunization program, about the possibility of neurological disorders?
Absolutely.
What would you say if I...
Okay, now here's the thing. The word neurological between the interview and this guy, does he even know what the word neurological means? I mean, that's like a brand new made up word. I mean, Linda now thinks it's something to do with the head. But I've interviewed several humans. They don't know if the thought pattern and thought process, they think that they're self-generating divine inspiration and thought pattern, thought cues, thought. In fact, last night I just had a conversation with Lou in front of the children, and he's like, oh, he was trying to tell them, and I'm like, right, but Louis, you just told me that humans are intelligent all within themselves. And I was like, and that they create all of this stuff. I was like, Louis, there's outside stimulation that sparks a reaction from your inner core that witnesses something that then starts a cycle. But there's always some form of outside stimulus, and the inside stimulus would be sparked by an outside aggregate of like that inflicted pain or some form of joy on the inside that then you cue up and question. But normally it starts with an outside stimulus that then you're able to recognize and then question or query.
Say if I told you that your superiors say that you never told them about the possibility of neurological complications?
That's nonsense.
If you even told them that it was neurological, as a consequence, would they even know what that means? And neuro is spelled N-E-U-R-O. So now are we talking euros? Because this sounds like a United States dollar system. Are we talking the dollhouse, or are we talking, I mean, like, this gets confusing with how you're all working these magical shots in the dark in order to swap out turkey birds for roast beefs. I'm just saying, in this disgusting new civil and civic and social engineering project that none of us agreed to, but somehow the amount of shots in the dark, you're now quantifying somehow and recalibrating management and the face of governance, but not in public light, in quiet, dangerous, scary area. Don't think I haven't noticed what's being employed and what's being presented. This was 1976. Doesn't look this way anymore. I don't see either one of these guys on spokesperson anything.
I can't believe that they would say that they did not know that there were neurological illnesses associated with influenza vaccination. That simply is not true. We did know that. I said that Dr. Hadwick had never told me of his feelings on this subject.
I'm just gonna fast forward through this because then it goes to some other spokesperson.
The years we have tried to inform the American people as fully as possible.
As part of informing Americans about the swine flu threat, Dr. Sensor's CDC also helped create the advertising to get the public to take the shot. Let me read to you from one of your own...
Now, this is part of some economical, self-sustaining whatever by creating this lackadaisical, really dangerous, I don't like, what's worse? Having a high, like maximum security entrenchment with like machine guns, like prison guard control, and them just sticking random citizens with needles and treating them like animals in a prison, like Attica, we'll say, facility? Or is it worse if they just give you a couple of roll around toys and some blacktop and they still proceed with the same agenda? They're just not holding high powered rifles, and they're not, but they're mentally switching the story and changing and guiding the future in a dangerous, unbeknownst decisions. I really couldn't tell you what's worse, but I'm telling you right now, the appearance of nobody with guns is fine. I prefer that because we're a civil society, but when that person comes up to you or your child with a needle and just sticks them with some unbeknownst substance just because you're in a mixed facility and they call it public, it's a really, like, you wish there was somebody with a machine gun to like eliminate those people or to track them down, hunt them, and make sure that they never do it to another person again. That I'll tell you for sure.
Own agencies, memos, planning.
Now, I
Did you
don't
ask your
know
own
who this
doctor about
chick
taking the
is,
swine flu shot?
but
Yes, and at the time he thought it might be a good idea. But I resisted it because I was leery of having the symptoms.
now she was on some TV show, so I know that like the more you see them, the more you see the actor, the more they start to believe the actor. But it's really dangerous when they're telling the actor the wrong things and they're spokespersoning for the wrong situation.
Symptoms that sometimes go with that kind of inoculation.
So you didn't?
No, I didn't.
Statement said that we should pay Guillain-Barré claims without regard to whether the federal
Guillain-Barré.
government was negligent.
And federal was
If they
involved in
resulted
this.
From the swine flu shot.
I think the government knows it's wrong.
If it drags out long enough, that people will just give up. Let it go.
They almost don't have a chance to do anything. I mean, I had the same situation. $100, and the fucking NYPD takes my $100 and then drags it out saying that they don't have it in the lockup, that I'll have to keep calling back. I'm not calling back to track you and trace you. I expect you dead for taking my $100 and dragging my life out when it's the last fucking $100 I have, you stupid fucking agency.
I am a little more adamant in my thoughts than my wife is because
So now she's got leg braces and can't and is having trouble walking
she never had
because there's some biological change
with my government
with the system,
because they knew
which is
the
what's
facts.
called
They
neuro.
didn't release those
but
facts
it's
because
also tied
they
into
had
money.
released them, the people wouldn't have taken them.
If you continue to curse, you're on the TV.
Oh, whatever. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, it's solar system, it's Milky Way, it's universe, it's galaxies broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.